back. This video is pretty much going to continue where I left off of my first video, Crush Your Fears of Approaching Women. And I don't know exactly what happened last week, but for some strange reason, I recorded 16 minutes of the video and it only saved and uploaded 4 minutes. So there's a lot of good shit on that video, but it is what it is. But in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to actually crush your fear of approaching women. Now, one thing you got to keep in mind is your fear of approaching a woman, it's really not you. You're not your fear, okay? You're not your fear, because what you have to understand is that fear that you have of approaching a woman is something that has been planted in you since you were a young boy, right? You got the movies, you got TV shows, you have society, social media, you have other guys that are afraid to approach women. All these things that you never realized that was meant to program you. Now, I don't want to go too left. I don't want to go too far left field into reasons why and all that stuff. But I will say, your thoughts about a woman, the thoughts before you approach a woman, the thoughts that you have when you are approaching a woman, all of those play a huge factor in how everything plays out. But how do you crush it? How do you get rid of those fears, or how do you crush the fear of approaching women when it's so many different videos out there, so many different books, information, and you just don't know what actually works? Well, I want to tell you this. The simplest thing that you have to do is twofold, right? The first simplest thing that you have to do is you have to change your thoughts on what you think about women and your approach when it comes to women. And what I mean by that is, instead of putting women on a pedestal, thinking they're special, thinking they're out of your league, thinking that they're better than they are, kissing their ass, instead of doing those things, you have to look at a woman for who they are, a human being, right? And the other thing is not just only you changing the thoughts that you have to calm your nervous system down. You have to calm your nervous system down. So what this looks like is, if your thought right now is, okay, I'm afraid to approach a woman because I don't want to get rejected. I'm afraid to approach a woman because she may not like me. I'm afraid to approach a woman because I don't know what to say to her. Or whatever you're telling yourself when it comes to approaching a woman, you have to change what you say to yourself. Because why would you tell yourself negative, disempowering thoughts when it comes to approaching a woman when that's what you say you want to do? Would it make more sense, just like a football game, right? If you guys watch football or you guys watch basketball, whatever, when your team is playing, you're not saying, oh man, they're probably going to lose. Oh man, what if they lose? You're saying, hey, my team is going to win. My team is going to crush that other team. My team is going to make it to the Super Bowl. So when it comes to things outside of you, why don't you say that to yourself? Why don't you change your language that you tell yourself that are more empowering, right? Tell yourself that, hey, instead of I'm afraid to approach her, she may reject me, how about I'm not afraid to approach her, I'm giving her the opportunity to get to know me. Instead of saying I'm afraid to approach her because I don't know what to say, how about I'm not afraid to approach her, I want to approach her and see what she has to say to me. It's all on how you change your words and your thoughts that you tell yourself. Because words have power. You may have heard that before, or maybe this is new to you, but the things you tell yourself have power. Your body has trillions of cells. So if you tell yourself something negative, that goes to your mind, right? It goes to your mind, and guess what? Your thoughts create the energy, the feelings, the emotions that either get you going towards what you say you want or it pulls you back. So you have to make sure that the things that you tell yourself are empowering, okay? That's very important. Now, the other thing is you really have to take time and calm your nervous system. You're like, what do you mean calm your nervous? What does that got to do with anything? Anytime you're in fear, anytime you're nervous, you're scared, you're shy, that you say you're shy, and it prevents you from talking to a woman, that's your nervous system. Because the things that you're telling yourself are causing your nervous system to keep you safe. So it's like this. You tell yourself disempowering beliefs and thoughts, right? The closer that you get to approaching a woman, you start to feel that anxiousness. You start to feel that fear. You start to just feel these nervous feelings in your body. And that's because your body's like, hey, man, you said all this negative shit, disempowering things about yourself, about approaching a woman. So why are you trying to approach this woman? Let's make you feel weird inside. Let's make you feel anxious. Let's make you feel scared and shy. Let's make you stumble over your words. Let's make you do all these things because I'm trying to keep you from approaching that woman. That's the threat. You're telling your mind, through your thoughts, what you tell yourself, you're telling your mind and you're telling your body that approaching a woman is a threat. So since that's a threat, we're going to do everything in our power to keep you back. Everything. You realize that, right? Your your mind and your thoughts, all of those things are so powerful. That is what creates your success or failure when it comes to women. You have to understand that. So change your words. Change the way you tell yourself things. And when it comes to the nervous system, like I said before, you have to really start focusing on deep breathing. And what that looks like is, it doesn't matter if you're trying to approach a woman and you're in the moment. You need to start doing this on your own when you're at home, in the morning, at night, and start getting your body used to being regulated. And what that looks like is just breathing through your nose and breathing out your nose. A nice, good inhale through your nose where your stomach is lifting out, and then you exhale where your stomach is lowering. It's called diaphragmatic breathing, right? And what that does is I hate to say it tricks your nervous system, but it tells your nervous system there's nothing bad going on, you can relax. And when you do that over and over, you start to get used to that. So when you start to do that, when you start to get outside your comfort zone a little bit, like, okay, I'm going to go approach this woman, I'm going to go to an area or population where there's women. When you don't practice breathing, what happens is you get hyper nervous, hypersensitive, right? But when you start to practice your breathing, then it starts to get less and less, because now your body is more in a relaxed state. And so when your body is in a relaxed state, you're able to think more clear and logical. And when you think clear and logical, you can approach a woman without that fear. See, it goes a little bit deeper than that. One thing I want to mention before I do forget, because it's very important, is keep it simple, man. Keep it simple. 4 count inhale in through your nose, a deep breath, and then 6 to 8 count exhale, because what that does is the longer the exhale, the more relaxed you are. The longer the exhale, the more relaxed you are. And make sure you use your nose. My biggest thing is you can breathe out your mouth if you want, but your nose was actually meant for you to breathe. You may not know that, but your nose was meant for you to inhale and exhale, okay? But that's what you got to start doing. And then the other thing that you can do is when you inhale, right? When you inhale, if you do this with your eyes closed, it doesn't matter if you're sitting down, laying down, whatever. When you do this when you start to inhale, right? Change what you tell yourself. Maybe on inhale, on inhale, you can tell yourself, approaching women is easy, or I enjoy approaching a woman that I find attractive. And then when you exhale, you can say, there's no reason for me to fear a woman. They're human just like me. Or whatever. It could be anything you want it to be, but just keep it simple. And like I said before, your words, how you talk to yourself, what you tell yourself, and your nervous system, those are connected. So the more they're in sync, and the more you talk to yourself in a more empowering way, and the way you calm your nervous system with the breathing, now it starts to reprogram your mind over time. So over time, instead of your nervous system and your mind keeping you away from the thing you say you wanted to approach that woman, to get that attractive woman in your life or whatever, now what happens is your nervous system and your mind starts to say, hey, now we see that you actually want to approach attractive women. So what happens is, get this, I want you to understand this. The thing that happens is now your subconscious mind starts to approaching women. Now what happens is your mind says, hey, look, if you don't approach a woman, that's you stepping outside your comfort zone. So like I said earlier, if you try to step outside your comfort zone, your mind, your body, all that stuff does everything it can to keep you stuck in your comfort zone. But once you change things up, now your comfort zone is you actually going to talk to the woman. That's your new comfort zone. So once your new comfort zone is you going to actually talk to a woman that you find attractive, now your uncomfort zone or your discomfort zone will be you not talking to a woman, if that makes sense. So it looks like, here's what it looks like. I'm gonna explain it to you. What it looks like is, okay, you got the person that is afraid to step outside his comfort zone, and he doesn't want to talk to a woman, right? Your mind is telling you like, hey, you don't want to talk to her. Hey, come back. You don't want to talk to her. Like, we don't want you to talk to her. That's danger. That's a threat. So what happens is your mind and your body send all these signals throughout your whole body, throughout your mind, your nervous system, to where it keeps you stuck. But once you actually change everything, like I said before, and you rewire how you think about women and approaching, what happens now is when you see that woman that you're attracted to and you don't go talk to her, now your subconscious mind, everything's going to start to come up to where it's like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? We're afraid not to talk to her. You need to go talk to her. And it starts to play in your favor. Your mind and your body starts to play in your favor once you rewire what you tell yourself about approaching women, what you tell yourself about women, and then you really focusing on calming your nervous system. It's very powerful. It's very powerful. And if you haven't watched my other live video, not the one that is before this one with the same title, but if you watch my other video, I think it was calming your nerves when approaching women. If you watch that video, it makes a lot of sense and everything connects, because this is more about really you, your subconscious mind, your nervous system. And once you apply everything that I tell you, you'll start to see a difference right away, because all it takes is just a shift in your perspective. All it takes is a shift in your perspective, because when you shift your perspective and the perspective that you shifted to makes sense, now your mind starts to look for more reasons for that to make sense. You get what I'm saying? But that's pretty much it. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. People like to try to complicate things. And that's the biggest thing. When it comes to complicating anything, when it comes to dating, when it comes to relationships, the shit is not complicated. What makes it complicated is the emotions that you have that you're not controlling, and the emotions that are controlling you. Fear, anxiousness, quote unquote shyness. Those things are what makes things more difficult and makes things more confusing and harder. And a lot of people that, I'm not saying everybody that makes content about dating relationships, but you have to understand, some people that understand that and know that, they take advantage of you if you don't understand that it's all about your emotions that you don't have under control. And when you don't have emotions under control and you're already in fear, then hey, look, I can tell you anything. I can complicate it to where you'll always be stuck on every word that I say and you always have to come back to me. But that's not empowering. That's not empowering at all. You want to be empowered. You want to be positive. You want to have your emotions under control. And when you have your emotions under control and you're empowered, it doesn't matter who you listen to. It doesn't matter what book you read. It doesn't matter what you do, because you're operating from yourself. You're operating from yourself. And when you operate from yourself, it changes everything else. It changes everything else. So it's very important that you understand that. And the more you understand that, and the more you really take that into consideration, the cool thing about that is it gets easier. And I said that on my other video, that once you start talking to women and you understand that it's not a big deal, and you program your subconscious mind, you reprogram it. Give me 1 second. But when you reprogram your subconscious mind where it's not a big deal for you to talk to a woman, it's no longer the issue. Because that's the initial thing. You have to understand the initial thing is the fear and everything that you have before you approach a woman. But when you get that out the way, the good thing about that is now you can actually go through the phases and the steps that when it comes to really dating a woman, going through challenges that women bring up, things that you didn't even think about because you were so stuck on, I'm afraid to approach her. How do I approach her? What do I say? Those are the things that really you need to work on, in my opinion, before you even worry or consider dating women or getting into a relationship. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. But those are the things that you got to consider, because where a lot of guys mess up, it doesn't matter how old you are, but where a lot of guys mess up is what they do is they get into a relationship, but they never worked on themselves, the insecurities, the self-esteem, self-confidence. They never worked on those things, because when you don't work on those things, like I said before, it will always show up later on. It will always show up later on. And a lot of guys don't believe me. They like, it doesn't matter. I'm in shape. I got the looks. I got the money. I got this and that. Guys, I'm telling you, all that stuff is great, but a real woman doesn't really give a shit about that. I'm telling you, a woman, what she cares about, and here's the thing, what you got to understand, that what a woman cares about, she cares about how are you to yourself, for yourself, not how are you for yourself for her, or how are you for her. It's about how are you for yourself, meaning, do you take care of yourself? Do you exercise? Do you eat right? Do you smoke? Do you drink? All the things she takes into consideration, because she's trying to see if you take this much good care of yourself and you have all this confidence in yourself, you have high self-esteem, you know your worth, then if you get with her, well, hey, if he takes care of himself like that and he values himself more than anything, she knows that, hey, it's a serious thing if you give her the opportunity to get to know you. But you can't get to that level if you still are in fear of approaching a woman. If those things still pop up whenever you see a beautiful woman, I'm telling you, it's hard for you to really get past certain phases when it comes to dating and relationships, because the first phase is yourself. You have to master yourself and be on a continuum of you mastering yourself. And that's honestly, that's with almost anything. But we're talking about dating and women. And that's the biggest thing. And then the other thing you got to think about too, this may be a little bit, a little bit higher level, but the other thing you got to take into consideration is when you take care of yourself, when you value yourself, when you got things going for yourself, you're doing it all for you, not her. Like I said earlier, the thing you got to understand is that if she messes up, she knows that you'll get her out of your life. Because if you don't tolerate your own bullshit, meaning like, okay, I know I need to get up and do this, I know I got to take care of that. When you stay on top of that and she sees that, she knows that she doesn't stand a chance if she's just dead weight because you got shit going for yourself. And that's where guys mess up, is they don't realize that women pay attention to that. Women pay attention to all that shit. Y'all, some guys think women are stupid. Well, I'm telling you, they're not stupid. Sometimes they play stupid. Sometimes you got to play stupid to catch somebody stupid. They call it play a sucker to catch a sucker. But sometimes women use their, how can I put this? Sometimes women act like, I can't think of the fucking word right now. But what I'm trying to say is sometimes women will act like they don't know. They will act like they're weak, or they'll act like I think it's damsel in distress, right? Sometimes they'll act like that and show you weakness just to see if you'll take advantage of that, or if you are still a genuine man that isn't about the bullshit. Some women will do that. Not all, but some women will do that. And it's a lot of shit. But the biggest thing I want you to understand and take away from this is the things you tell yourself. I'm telling you, your words have power. And if you're telling yourself those things over and over that are disingenuous, that aren't real, and that are disempowering, you will never have success with women. Never, ever have success with women if you tell yourself the bullshit and the disempowering beliefs that don't really align with the truth. Understand that. And the other thing I want to say is, going back to what I kind of said earlier, the other thing I want to say is that you have to really master yourself. You have to focus on mastering yourself. And what does that look like? Being more self-aware, having discipline, having drive, creating positive and good habits. All those things that make you a strong man mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. All those things that make you a strong man are the things that you never want to stop focusing on. Never. Because the moment that here's the thing, you can focus on that shit up until you meet a woman and then you stop, it'll mess you up later on. You can never focus on those things and it will mess you up before you even get into a relationship, before you even start dating. And focusing on those things, you're doing this. Please understand that you're doing these things for yourself. You're not doing this for a woman, because as a man, you take care of shit because that's what you do. That's what you do. You get what I'm saying? And the moment you understand that hey, women are a perk. Women are a perk to your life. And it's funny because the ones that are, and I'm not trying to shame you or anything like that. What I'm saying is, the guys out there that are afraid to approach women, they put women on a pedestal, they kiss their ass, they're struggling to figure out what they're going to get the woman that may not even like her for Valentine's Day, the woman that you're not even with, maybe the woman that you find attractive at your job, or it's your female friend, and you're just hoping that everything lines up so you can get with her. Guys, I'm telling you, you got to get it together. You got to get it together. I'm telling you, you got to get it together. And when you start applying everything that I'm telling you, and it starts to make sense, sooner or later it'll click. It'll click, and you'll realize, damn, Saul was right. I never realized that. I'm focused on myself. I'm doing well. I'm not worried about being rejected. I'm not worried about what to say. And these women are actually interested in me. Now, what comes up is the next level, the next steps, the next phases. And that's the biggest thing why I created this channel, man, because like I said before, I'm not trying to be long-winded. I know you probably want to do some shit. It's Friday night. But the other thing is, I had a lot of guys tell me that once they got married or once they got in a relationship, a lot of problems came up that they didn't know how to solve. They didn't know how to take care of. And some of the things that they told me was like, hey, if I would have known the things that you were talking about, the things that you coached me on, the things that you say on your videos, if I would have known this when I was dating, when I was younger, before I got into a relationship, before I started dating, I wouldn't be in the dilemma that I'm in now. And so I thought like, hey, it actually makes sense. I need to talk to the young men or the men that are new to dating. Maybe they're not in a relationship. Maybe they want to be in a relationship, but they're afraid of being done wrong. Or maybe they're getting the wrong information and it's conflicting. Hey, I want to talk to a woman. I want to be in a relationship, but the guys over here are saying, nah, it's not worth it. Don't be in a relationship. Don't date women. And my thing is, I think there's middle ground, but I wanted to make sure that I help you guys out. Because if you miss that step, and that first step is you getting to know yourself and mastering yourself. If you miss that step, it doesn't matter about the money. It doesn't matter about the clothes. It doesn't matter about the car you drive. It doesn't matter about your career. All those things are titles, by the way. Those are things that are man-made that are not inside of you. So understand that. But all those things don't matter. It doesn't matter if the woman's beautiful, if she's attractive, gorgeous. It doesn't matter if your body's in shape. It doesn't matter if you can speak very well. None of that shit matters if you haven't worked on yourself and continue to work on yourself from now, when you start talking to women, when you start dating women, when you get into a relationship, when you get married. Never stop improving yourself, because the thing and the lie that you've been told is do everything up until you get the woman and then stop. How do you expect to be able to keep her and be respected if you stop doing the things that got you to where you're at? You either have to do the same thing to maintain or do more, right? If you do everything to get that job at Apple, this is just an analogy. If you do everything right to get that job at Apple and you work for corporate, right? You did everything right. They see the value in you. You bring value to the company. It's a win-win, right? But you stop doing the things that got you to the company. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? They're not going to keep you. You may get they may pull you in the office and be like, hey, such and such, your performance is not up to par. It's not up to standard how it was when we hired you. What's going on? And that's why you got to always maintain yourself or improve yourself. I prefer you always improve yourself, honestly. But you always got to maintain or improve yourself. Because if you improve yourself, guess what? This is the thing I want you to understand. When you work on yourself and you improve yourself, outside of women, right? Outside all that shit, people start to see that. People respect that. I don't know how many times people have opened up doors for me because I was genuine about who I was. I didn't sugarcoat shit. I kept things real, and I always strive for better to improve myself. It wasn't to impress anybody. It wasn't to kiss anybody's ass. It wasn't to make it seem like I'm better than anybody. It's just how I was raised. If you're gonna do something, you might as well do the best at it. I don't give a fuck if you're a cook. If you're a cook, you be the best fucking cook that you can be. Go through the cookbooks, travel around the world, learn about different cultures and recipes, if that's your thing. If you're gonna be the best mechanic, learn everything about engines, learn about hybrid vehicles, learn about electronics with everything. So when it comes to you, which is you, not anything outside of you, learn everything about yourself. You get me? Learn everything about yourself. And once you learn everything about yourself, you accept it and you improve it. It gets deeper, man. I could talk on this motherfucker for like hours, but I'm not trying to make it too long and overwhelm you. I just want you to understand that this channel, like I said, is specifically for the guys that they don't want the same frustration, heartache, pain the guys that are in long-term relationships go through because they never worked on themselves and they never focused on what was important from the beginning. So that's what this is all about. That's what this is all about, guys. But other than that, if you got any questions, if you got any comments, make sure you put them in the chat. Make sure you put them in the comment section if you're watching this video after the live has ended. Give this a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. And send this to a guy that you think would benefit from this the most. But start taking action. Start taking action. Giving yourself empowering thoughts and beliefs by what you say, and start calming your nervous system by breathing, working on your breath. All right. But other than that, that's about it. I don't have anything else to talk about. A lot of these videos, if you notice, they're not scripted. I'm fucking driving. They're not scripted. It's just what comes up, what I think you may need to hear. And if this message hits you, this is your confirmation to take action. It's your confirmation to really take action. And I'm talking to your subconscious mind. I'm not talking to your conscious mind that has the ego that, is trying to pick apart things. Oh, he's making a video at night. He's driving. Is he watching the screen? Is he watching the road? I'm not talking to that analytical side of you. I'm talking to your subconscious mind. And I'm talking to your soul, your spirit, the core of who you are. The core of who you are. But other than that, this has been great. Hope you got some value from it. Other than that, I will talk to you guys later. And you have a good one. Let's see.